Welcome back to the LordsOfLorePodcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Luka.
I'm Will.
Happy New Year to everyone out there. We took a little break for the holidays, but we're back now, coming back at you with our regular scheduled programming every Tuesday. But also, check out our Boba Fett reviews every Wednesday with me and Talib. That show's really good and has been really fun to talk about it. So check those out. Let's get into it. This is going to be, I was telling the guys off camera, probably the most chaotic episode of this show, which is, I think, a feat in its own, because we are doing our best stories of 2021. Now, this isn't stories that happened in 2021, not stories that were made or written in 2021 or released in 2021, just things that we consumed during that calendar year and which ones we enjoyed the most. So these could be things that came out in 1987 that we just happened to watch then. And so these lists are completely arbitrary and personal. So how this is going to work for our best stories, at the end of this show, we're going to create the Lords of Lore definitive 2021 guide to things you should have consumed last year. Not necessarily that they came out then, but we each have our individual top 10 lists. And so we'll be going through those. We'll start with our bottom four, then our next three and our next three. And we'll do that sort of as a group. But if somebody mentions something that's on somebody else's list, but it's in a higher position, we'll table that discussion by saying, what was the word we chose? Portal. We'll portal that conversation to later and discuss it when it's at the higher point in the list. And then at the end of the show, we're going to have to argue our way through why our definitive top 10 list, which obviously won't include everything because we don't all have the same lists, why this will be the definitive Lords of Lore. So very chaotic. But I'm excited to get started. So why don't we just jump into it? I think we'll save honorable mentions if you guys have any between, the top before the top three. So we'll start, I guess. Let's start with Will, then Luka, then me. So Will, we just want your bottom three. So once you bring one up, if anybody else has it in their bottom four, we'll talk about it now. But if not, we'll portal that conversation till later. And if nobody else has it, just take a few moments to discuss what you enjoyed about it and why people should check it out. So without further ado, what's your number 10?
Number 10, I wrote Witcher show is okay.
Oh,
It's hell if you like games or books, which I stand by.
damn, okay.
So like my reasoning is like the visuals are pretty cool. A lot better than season one. You could tell they had a bigger budget. Costumes are a little bit better, which was honestly probably one of my biggest complaints about the first season. Was just I wasn't like a fan of like the costumes and like just the way that characters look. Like the Nilfgaardian armor is just horrible.
It's bad.
Like horrendous. Like compared to like how it's like portrayed in a lot of like official art as well as like the CD Projekt Red game art. Like, yeah, I don't know what was going on with that. I mean, obviously saving budget money, but just like, yikes. Yeah, but no, season two, I think it was a pretty cool show. But if you're not like into the actual Witcher universe, it's like, it's more of like a Witcher fan fiction. Is how I would describe it.
I haven't. The Witcher's not on my list because I didn't get time from when it was released to consume it during 2021, so I left it off my list. I am now, I think, on the third or fourth episode, and I fucking love it. But I didn't read the books or play the game, so I am in that. I think we're all like Luka. You've done both. Will, I don't think you've read the books, right?
Yeah.
I have.
Okay, you have. So you guys are both coming from your ultra passionate fans of this work, and it's being interpreted in a way that's not accurate or whatever. So
Yeah, like I had this in my honorable mentions.
okay.
For me, I feel like Will said it right. Like the show feels like a fan fiction.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, the tone of it doesn't feel like how I felt playing the games or reading the books, which is a little disappointing. But like Henry Cavill as Geralt is perfect.
So good.
Yeah. And like I watched a ton of interviews because he's like he started off like how I did, so we're practically the same because he played The Witcher 3 and then got into the books.
Twins.
Yeah, same human beings. Two bodies, one brain. Yeah, like he's perfect, but it it just feels like they just took him, like probably the best Geralt you could ever have, and then just like plot into like a fan fiction. Is what it feels like to me.
It feels like Ben Affleck Batman. Like it's enjoyable him being Batman, but like the universe is a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Similar.
Okay.
Kind of. And like, yeah, we could save that for another discussion.
Yeah, I think at some point we should review the second season. I'm looking online. Obviously, the first Nilfgaardian armor looks like testicles, like old bad testicles.
Like walking out of the show.
But I'm seeing shots. These are from parts of the show I haven't seen yet, where they've gone to a more traditional look, more similar to the games, and so that's a good thing for you guys.
Yes. Yeah, like even if they would have explained it, saying like this is like a scout group, but it's not. It's like because that's season 1 is like the first war with Nilfgaard,
and it just doesn't look like metal or like or leather or anything. It just looks like
skin,
vacuum formed plastic. It's awful. It's fucking terrible. It was one of the things in the first season where I was like, oof, that's bad. Like we could do dragons, but the fucking armor is giving us trouble.
Yeah. Like the monsters do look a lot better too. I do like that. I thought what they did with some of the characters was just downright horrendous. Rest in peace to my boy Eskel.
I like that.
They did you dirty. So yeah, number 9, Breath of the Wild. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, this is why this is going to be chaotic, because like I think at any given year this could make a top 10 list, but I played it a couple of years ago.
I still haven't played it. Like
I picked it up over the holidays. I definitely. So this is the second Zelda game I've ever played. The first one being A Link to the Past, like on Super Nintendo.
Oh wow, there's some gaps in your lore there.
Oh yeah, huge. I have no idea what anything is other than a Ganondorf, and So I was one of those people who thought Zelda was Link. Yeah. But
I mean, call yourself a Lord of Lore.
Yeah. I do see like why a lot of people like it. I was having a lot of fun. I found it's pretty hard. That's because turns out I went to the hardest area because as soon as I got the hang glider, it just like took off. I think it's pretty cool. I could see why it's on the top of a lot of people's lists for just video gameplay and like Zelda stuff as well. So that's number 9, just because I'm not too sure about like any of the other Zelda universe. Like, yeah. So that's my reasoning as to why that's at number 9. Yeah, it the one thing I'll say about Breath of the Wild, obviously not on my list, but like if we're the Lords of Lore, so when you're talking about lore, it's one of the least lore heavy Zelda games ever. Maybe like because they were sort of remaking the first ever Zelda game and a 3D format, not one for one obviously, but the same sort of feeling as where just like go off an adventure and find caves and whatnot. It's a really great game. I love the game a lot, and as a Zelda fan, there's a lot of things to like enjoy in there. But I like a little bit more story to my Zelda games. I think that's one of the drawing factors for me. And so this game was like, it's a masterpiece and it's like groundbreaking in terms of gameplay and how it works. But as a Zelda fan, it doesn't give me that same Zelda feeling. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, I don't. So it's only the second Zelda game I've ever played. Fair enough. So number 8, Green Knights was cool. However, we're gonna portal that one. I watched Macbeth by the same, I guess, production company studio, and I like Macbeth a little bit better. But so we'll portal that one for later.
Fast better Macbeth.
Yeah, that one. I just found I like the dialogue in Macbeth a little bit better. Yeah. Okay, what's your number 7? Are we counting from the? I thought we were starting from the top.
You started from the top.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. Am I doing 7?
Yeah, number 7.
The Mass Effect 4 teaser on N7 Day.
The teaser.
Yeah.
The teaser was your favorite story of 2021.
Yeah, I got my
better than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Better than the Green Knight. Holy, okay.
Yeah, you'll see my reasoning later on. But that's just like, one that I tossed in there. But I was pretty hyped for it.
Okay. Well, no, go off. What do you?
Well, it interferes with a higher point. But Mass Effect is like one of my favorite, like, I guess, sci-fi series. Probably is my favorite one of all time.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I even loved Mass Effect Andromeda, so get at me. Yeah, no, like I was just like, the studio that makes Mass Effect is, over the past few years, is like kind of gotten kind of shitty with a lot of stuff that they put out. But like, just like seeing that, and like the teaser trailer was like unreal, and it's like kind of nice that we're going back to like the original Galaxy.
Nice.
So you're saying the teaser trailer was your favorite story? It was your number 7 story?
Because we haven't like heard anything about it in like forever.
So teaser trailer over the entire Breath of the Wild's game of the year. Breath of the Wilds.
Yeah, but
hey, your list is your own. It's going to be tough for me to consider this on the Lords of Lore definitive list, but
not my fault when I flew into the Gerudo wasteland and got schmirked by a desert hobokin.
Yeah, that was your mistake.
Also, I was pretty devastated when I found out that weapons can break. So, yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah. All right. We'll move over to you now, Luka. Let's get your bottom 4.
Cool. Okay, so my number 10 is The Dark Knight. Oh, sorry, The Green Knight. My bad.
I was like, damn, man, you're late.
No, yeah, that's
that's like more than 10 years. That's 14 years.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're gonna portal that one as well. So
yeah. It's because my number 9 is a show called Dark. I don't know if you guys have seen it on Netflix.
No, I've seen the trailer.
Looks scary for me.
It's too scary.
Too spooky.
It's a sci-fi. It's a time travel show. It's my favorite Netflix original that I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's a German show. Yeah, like time travel. I don't want to get into it. It's super like intertwined and convoluted, so I can't even explain anything. And it's just a great show. I would highly recommend it.
Okay.
So that's my number 9. My number 8 is The Wheel of Oshheim, which is the last book in the Red Queen's War trilogy by Mark Lawrence. I read that. I'm pretty sure I read it right at the start of 2021, but like I told you guys before we started recording, I don't remember. If it was like December 2020, it was around this time a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just concluded a trilogy. I've talked about it a bit on the show before. I would highly recommend the trilogy. It was a great conclusion, like one of the best endings I've ever had to like a trilogy series.
Oh, wow.
And my number 7 is The Wheel of Time show.
Oh my God. I forgot about the Wheel of Time show. Did not make my list. Huh. Wow. Isn't that so? Is it on your list higher, Will? No. Okay, well, let's talk about it now. Obviously, if people want our thorough, concise and unfiltered thoughts on the Wheel of Time, we've done 9 episodes of reviews for that show, so check that out. Let's just get quickly our overall thoughts on, because I don't think we got to talk to you, Will, on the finale. So
yeah, we didn't.
What were your overall thoughts of the series as a whole?
Sorry. My chocolate milk bomb went everywhere. It got better for me, like towards the end.
Right.
So, and like I think that's something that I said quite a bit in the past, was that it started off pretty slow, but yeah.
I mean, it's like an exciting thing to have in like fantasy TV, like a show that's like, see, this is like the opposite of, for me, like The Witcher, where I've read the source material, so I have feelings about it, whereas this I don't, and I just really enjoyed hearing a new story. So I loved it. I mean, various flaws it had that we all talked about is why it's like number 7 on my list, not higher, but a promising start to a new fantasy series, and that's always great to see.
Had I remembered I consumed that this year, it probably would have been on my list at some point, maybe knocking off my 10th spot, which we'll get to. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the show. Obviously, there are flaws with every show. This one, flaws that the three of us are less, aware of because we're not fans of the source material yet. So we're less bothered by the changes they've made. So I think for us, we looked at it more like a show that was coming out that we knew nothing about, similar to when Game of Thrones came out, I guess, for us here. And so, yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Yeah. Okay, let's jump over to my bottom 4 here. That was your 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my 10th spot is She Who Became the Sun, Shelley Parker Chan. This is a fantasy novel about deals with a character who is born a woman disguising themselves as a man, and deals with themes of non-binary and trans people, and the whole story is very interesting. The other main character is a eunuch within like the Han empire, I guess you could say. So it's a very interesting story. Deals with Chinese myth and legend and stuff, and super cool. I recommend it, highly recommend it to anyone fantasy fan. But I know it's probably not on you guys' list. So we'll move on to another book that's
what was the title?
She Who Became the Sun.
Okay, sorry. I'm thinking about a different book.
Okay. My number 9 spot, this is not my number 9 spot. This is my number 8. But my number 9 is a book I don't have with me here. It's one that Luka, you and I read for rumination. So if people want our full thoughts on it, they can check it out. Was Ninth House, which I should say, She Who Became the Sun came out in 2021. So there's
Nice.
one, July 20th. Ninth House, October 8th, 2019. So a few years old at this point. I really enjoyed it. Fun book. Something I wasn't expecting to enjoy and was sort of like reluctant to start because I just like had to force myself into it, and then ended up really enjoying it, and it's being adapted. So I'm really excited to see that. Any thoughts on there? Did that make your list at all, Luka?
It didn't. It was my honorable mention.
Nice.
Like I said in the review, I love the book. It just didn't have that high fantasy that I would like make it crack the top 10 like of all the things I've consumed this year.
Fair enough. Now we'll move on to The Witch's Heart, which is my number 8, Genevieve Gornichek. I'll talk a little bit more. Oh, actually, my number 7 is God of War 2018, which like Will, I was late to. And so at the beginning of the year, when I got my PS5 and, it was free and downloadable, I started playing God of War and was immediately like, man, I forgot how much I love Norse mythology. And then picked up this book shortly after. And there's a lot of themes that are similar. We're obviously dealing with Ragnarok and stuff, and the same themes we find in Norse mythology that surface in this book. But this deals with the character Angrboda, and is really interesting, the mother of Loki's children. But her character in her own right. And this book deals with that character. Super good. Author is an amazing person, and this is a really good read. So check that out. My number 7, God of War. You guys had got to this before I did. It was part of the reason I did get to it when I did. Yeah, absolutely love this game. I think the story is incredible. The gameplay of being a no-cut camera, also very incredible. Just an experience that I didn't realize we were at this level in games because I'd sort of fallen off playing games for a while. So yeah, it was really great. I even ended up buying the physical copy of it for my friend because I wanted them to experience the same thing. So yeah, God of War is awesome. And that's my number 7. So we'll go back to Will for your number 6.
Hell yeah. Matt, I remember the God of War release. Got it the day before. Hell yeah.
Ooh, oh yeah, and you were afraid to play it the day before, so you turned your Wi-Fi off.
Yeah, I didn't want to get locked or banned or anything like that, so I like turned the router off and shit, and while everyone else is sleeping, so my roommates wouldn't get upset. Yeah. Number 6, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I have Elder Scrolls Skyrim 10-year edition.
Oh my god, man. Come
Dash. Hell yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the update's pretty sweet. And
What did they update?
I have thoughts on this as well. Go ahead.
ton of like I guess like elements that you would see in like games nowadays as opposed to like back then, which is kind of weird because I feel old now, marching slowly to death.
Come on.
No, just like a lot of like it just like enhanced the world and just like made it more like livable, I guess, as much as they could.
So are
if they
you
wanted to.
specifically talking about the survival aspect they added to the game?
Yeah, that's probably like the major points, as well as like a lot of like I haven't done any of like the mod stuff that comes on console, but all of that stuff sounds it from what I've heard is like a lot better than what they used to have like several years ago when they released the, I guess, update edition for like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox consoles.
We did an episode where the three of us all talked about the importance of Skyrim in the fantasy and gaming community. So you can check that out. But that was before they had released this update with this. And so, Will, you were talking a bit about it in that episode about what was coming. And so I started playing Skyrim again recently. And I got all the console mods and all that stuff, all the cool ones you can get. There's also like a creation lab where there's assets that weren't in the vanilla game that are being added to the game, which is new because console mods up until that point were primarily vanilla game objects that are being repurposed or resized or recolored. But I will say the survival mode aspect, it's very bare bones. It's if you're cold, then you lose health, I think. You lose stamina. If you're tired, you lose health. And if you're, I don't know, I can't remember what the third one is. You lose mana. If you're hungry, you lose mana.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's very basic. And like, I was enjoying it up until a certain point. And that point was I got all my crafting based off mod sheets. And I was like, I'm going to create the best skull armor I can because I'm sick of getting cold and losing my stamina. And so I created this fur coat, which like has to be by any metric the hottest and warmest coat in the game. And the rating on it is the same as leather armor in terms of like weather resistance. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And there's no way to sort of improve those numbers. They're just sort of arbitrarily assigned that base game. So I was like, I'm turning this off. I'm just going to fast travel now. Was your experience similar in that, like, did you get sick of it eventually, or does it still add something to the game for you?
I found it added a lot. I like fishing, so
Jesus.
That's how I judge my games. Like Far Cry 5, good fishing game.
Yeah.
Red Dead 2, not the best fishing game.
Ocarina of Time, very good fishing game.
Didn't play it.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I rented it from Blockbuster for the Game Boy Color when I was like in kindergarten, and I had no idea what I was doing. So,
okay.
Yeah. Number 5. I got around to reading the sequel to Metro 2033, which is called Metro 2034. Sequel's trash, but it inspired me to read the first book, which is, I would say, probably like definitely my top 10, possibly top 5 of all time. Yeah, fantastic. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just like unreal. I think it was translated to English, I think like 10 years ago, and the sequel was translated like 5 years ago or something like that.
There's also a video game, right?
Yeah, a little bit different, like less chaotic than like the video games and stuff like that, and just like a little bit more like suspenseful. Like it's more of like a psychological thriller. Yeah, definitely recommend it though. Yeah. Did you guys ever play them or see like
I've been
artwork
meaning
for
to
it.
buy Metro. Like I even went a couple times recently, and they haven't had it at Best Buy or like GameStops.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. Number 4, Dune.
Oh,
Oh,
Portal.
Portal.
Whoa, man.
Whoa, Portal,
Oh.
Portal.
Yeah,
The movie or the book?
yes.
Yes. Okay. So we'll switch over now to Luka's next 3. So 654.
All right, so my number 6 is Star Wars Visions.
Oh, I didn't think to include that. Okay, yeah, go off.
Yeah, so I mean, we also did in-depth reviews of these a bunch of times. The only reason it's not higher on my list because I didn't like love 10 out of 10 all the episodes, but there was like, I don't know, how many episodes were there? Like 9, 13?
Yeah, I think there was 9 episodes.
Something like this, around 10, and like half of them were like 9 out of 10 or above.
Right.
Like they were really good. The Ronan episode stands out, and Lop and Ocho, and the best soundtrack with the yellow lightsaber, I forgot, Village Bride. Yeah, so like those 3 stories alone all like were like some of the best just like individual stories that I'd consumed this year. So Star Wars Visions, number 6.
Nice. Love it.
You guys have any thoughts to add on Star Wars?
Yeah, obviously, like we did a whole series review, so people can check that out. But I love Star Wars Visions. I talked about this in a clip out you can find on our channel where I think the title is "Does Canon Matter?" And my issue with Star Wars Vision is I loved it so much, but none of it's real. It exists, and I can watch it and enjoy it, but it doesn't play into the bigger overall canon, which doesn't matter to normal people, but deeply, deeply upsets me. And I just have a tough time reconciling my appreciation for something that doesn't show up later on in the series, I guess. But standalone stories, I enjoyed the hell out of the whole series. So yeah, good choice.
Number 5 is The Bone Shard Daughter.
Yeah, we could talk about that now. That's my number 6.
Perfect. I had no, oh, nice. I don't have the physical copy yet, but is the Bone Shard Emperor out? I think it's supposed to.
Yes, it is. Came out in December.
Definitely have to read that soon.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a surprise for me. I had no knowledge of it going in. The only thing I knew about it was what the sequel's cover will look like.
Yes.
And that was honestly enough. That was enough for me to like read the first book. It was a super cool magic system. I love the world, like small islands, just like no like big land masses. I love that kind of world. One Piece style. It's literally the One Piece world. But yeah, I can't wait to read the sequel. Great book.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any.
Obviously, if people want our spoiler-free and spoiler-full reviews of that book, they can check them out for sure here on this channel for our ruminations. Just like you, I had saw one of our favorite authors, Evan Winter, retweet the cover of this and be like, wow, what a great cover. And that was enough for me to be like, yo, we should check this out. I remember like I immediately screenshot it and sent it to you and you're like, sick. And that was enough. And then, to get the predecessor and actually like really enjoy it, I thought was super awesome and lucky that that's how it turned out. So I'm excited to read the sequel. Also love the magic system and the characters. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here. And I'm just excited to own the physical books because they're beautiful.
For real.
And I follow the author now. That's Andrea Stewart on Twitter and Instagram. And she's wrote the final book or the third book twice. She wrote it, hated it, and wrote it again, and is now like burning her way through it. So it's interesting to see like a little bit behind the scenes in that process.
That's cool. And then my number 4, I just put Malazan because now I don't even remember how many of the books I read this year. And I couldn't pick one specifically. So I just put the entire series, and the only it would be top 3 for sure for me if I had finished it, but like I haven't read a single book in it for like 6 months. I've just been like reading other things. I have like fear of finishing the series. So I'm like stuck at the beginning of book number 8. and I just haven't finished the last 3 books, but I've loved it so far. Some of the best world building I've ever seen in my life. It's the epitome of like no hand holding storytelling. There's no explanation, there is no exposition. It's just like you will learn the world through the characters, and that's the only way you'll interact with the world. Like there's no character reads a book explaining the magic. Nah, like things happen and you're just like, oh wow, why did that happen? 3 books later, like that's why that happened. Like that's literally happened in this series.
Nice.
Where like a character just disappears and comes back 6 books later. You're like,
wow,
I remember that person.
Yeah, it takes a lot of buy-in. Like I think stuff like that might be tough going into it, but when you know, like eventually those things pay off, it's like
it would be like the gatekeeper of fantasy, you know, like it just I would love to recommend it to people, but I don't think like it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But some of the best titles too in
what's the most recent one? The God
Is Not Willing.
Oh my God, that is so good.
So good. Anyway, Malaza, number 4.
Okay, so we'll go to my 654. Obviously, we already said the Bone Shard Daughter, and previously portaled conversation, the Green Knight at my number 5. So what's up, guys? What the fuck? The Green Knight rocked for me, just because it's a fantasy movie that doesn't follow the tropes that we usually get in these fantasy movies. Like I feel like a lot of fantasy just gets labeled as like swords and sorcery or swords and sandals, and can be repetitive. I think, the great fantasy movies are all exceptions. Like the Lord of the Rings is an exception, and even The Hobbit is like didn't live up to what the Lord of the Rings was. And then we get all these like very average, critically maligned fantasy films that just don't stand. And even the fantasy series we're getting, which have upped the quality of the production, but still are falling short in some story aspects or storytelling aspects. So I thought it was really cool that the Green Knight was sort of just like, forget all that. We're going to tell a story in a very weird way through the lens of a fantasy. But this story is about other things. Just the unexplainable things all take the form of fantasy stuff. So I thought it was really cool. Obviously, such a beautiful film. I am now just painting my crown that I 3D printed. So I'll show that when it's done. I loved everything about this film. Any thoughts, you guys? Because it was on both of your lists, but just a little bit lower.
Like it was a unique fantasy movie. I loved it was like high art, you know, like it was a refreshing sort of take on a story. It was my favorite ever King Arthur, like legend of the like the.
Ooh. Have you seen Excalibur though?
No, I haven't. Like
okay, we should
the
review
90s.
that. Yeah,
I've not seen that one.
I think it's from like the 70s.
Oh, okay, even further. Yeah, I have not. But this was my favorite King Arthur Legends story, and it beat out a lot of other like higher fantasy projects that I've seen this year. I'm a sucker for the magic and the big like the Wheel of Time type stuff. So that's why it's like just cracked the top 10 for me.
Will, any thoughts?
Yeah, it was. I think it would be best described as just like definitely like probably the best like art film, if I want to use that phrase, that I've seen like in a while. But it's just I don't know, like I think it's just because like the story and like the format is just like so old. I've heard it like quite a bit. It's just kind of like not on the same level of popularity, but it's just like similar to like the story of like the kid on a farm who goes on to be like the Jedi Master of the Galaxy, or pulling the sword from the stone. Like it's just something that I've seen like quite a bit.
Right.
Whether that be in just like storytelling podcasts, like just my own reading and stuff like that. So that's why I just kind of put it a little bit lower. I think there's like other Arthurian legends and myths and stories that could have been told like over that one. that's just kind of like my beef with it. But I mean, like, yeah, like visually it was pretty sweet. I liked it. The actors were pretty good. It was like super foreboding. Like I felt like very anxious the entire time. But yeah, no, it was very good, and I like the ending. I do.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And then if people want to check out our full review of The Green Knight, do that as well. This episode is just a bunch of plugs for our other shows.
Yeah.
My number 4 spot is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I talked a little bit about this book on the show, but pre sort of Colombian colonial Southern American setting, but high fantasy and some of like the coolest characters. And the ending of this book is like one of the greatest setups for a sequel because it ends on very, we split our ways from our main characters and they're all sort of going out and, their circumstances have changed and the stakes have been up. And this has actually just been bought by, I think, AMC to make an adaptation of. So well deserving. It has also one of the most beautiful maps, fully colored and illustrated. It's just really cool. I really enjoyed this book more than I thought I would. I bought it because the cover was sick and didn't know anything about it. That is my number 4. So we'll go now to Will with your number 3. Oh wait, let's do some honorable mentions. Okay. My honorable mention is Dune the Novel. And it's only not on the list because I haven't finished it. So far I'm enjoying it. Yeah. When we do that, we will review it. But it's just I can't put it on there because I haven't finished it, so I'm not sure how my feelings are, but I'm really enjoying it. And my second honorable mention is the story of Will going to the movies alone. Was one of my favorite stories of 2021. Going to see Dune, funny enough. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can find that story on our Instagram. I'll put a story of it or whatever. So that was my favorite. Will, what are some honorable mentions for you?
Just as a side note, I think I told you this before, like I was actually surprised when reading Dune. I think I told you this before, is I was like thought it was going to be a lot like heavier, and like I thought it was going to be like a slog to read. Yeah, like same. It kind of came out like I guess kind of like in that older time frame where like writers would just take forever to say anything.
You know what I realized? Like a lot is made about how Tolkien's a linguist and a student and like a lover of languages. And reading Dune, I realized, man, this guy's a fucking nerd. You mean not everyone was speaking like that in the 60s? It's like, yeah, obviously not. Like, I've seen movies from then. Like, that guy was just fucking weird, So reading, because when like you get a book from obviously Lord of the Rings like 50s, right? But Dune being in the 60s, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like chunky and like hard, same as what Will say. Mm-hmm. Reading it, it's like, oh, this reads like a very modern sci-fi book. And I was like, oh, Tolkien's just fucking nerdy as fuck, man. That was my revelation.
Yeah, like having like watched the movie before reading the book, it felt like reading like a movie novel. Mm-hmm. What it kind of feels like, because like I basically got to where the movie ended, is where I'm at right now.
You're ahead of me.
I've been sitting there for the past like 3 weeks, but it is like a lot easier than what I thought, because like Dune was always like I'd always see it like in a store or whatever, and like I just like whenever I see like what I would consider to be classics, I always just like wait until I could see like a really nice edition of them, mm-hmm. and then just like buy it and just put it on my bookshelf and just never touch it ever again.
Yeah,
just so I look cool when people
guilty of that.
But yeah, no, reading it was like, it was not what I expected at all. Because like I would consider Tolkien to be pretty high level. Like it's just like a mental slog to read some of the stuff, especially like the Silmarillion. But yeah, no, definitely recommend reading Dune if you like the movie.
Yeah. Any other honorable mentions?
Oh no, not really.
Luka, any for you?
I think I mentioned most of mine. The Witcher, Ninth House, Ghost of Tsushima is one of my honorable mentions. Just because I haven't finished it, it was phenomenal, but I have not finished the game, so
Nice.
I could not put it on the list.
Yeah, I think that's it for me as well. So we'll go back to you for your 3, 2, and 1.
Number 3, Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh shit.
Specifically the director's edition, which came out in the summer/September, like late August, early September, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't play it until like about a month ago, and like, yeah, I love it. It's probably, I would consider it to be like in the top 5 of like the decade. I guess the start of the new decade. Yeah, no, director's edition makes the story a lot better. Because like when the first, I guess like when like the vanilla edition came out, like one of the things I remember telling somebody was like, I like hearing about like Jin's father, because like he gets mentioned several times and it's like super like hush hush kind of. So like I kind of wanted to like learn a little bit more about that, but then and then like I didn't watch any trailers or anything like that. I just like got the director's edition and then finally got around to playing it, and it's like completely centered around him. So like that was kind of cool to see. It's not like how the story that I like had hoped it would have been, but it's like still kind of cool because it's like insane amounts of character depth and like really good way to like wrap it up because it takes place after the main storyline. So, but you can do it before so you get all the sweet armor. Yeah, hell yes. Yeah, so that's number 3. Also, they updated the multiplayer for it too, which is pretty sweet. Number 2, Halo Infinite. Unreal.
Is this a game or a book?
A game. Like the new Halo. Oh, come on, guys.
I've never owned an Xbox.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, neither have I, but like this is like convinced me to buy one.
No way.
Yeah, no, I used to love like the Halo universe like when I was a kid.
Yeah, and you've read the novels and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, like tons of them. Like
wait, but
like,
so you
not
have
the past
owned
few
an
years.
Xbox, just you don't have one currently.
Yeah, that's correct. Like
Okay.
not like the current gen, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, but like I loved Halo. Like Halo 1 is definitely like my top 3 video games of all time. Like completely loved it. And like I read like pretty much all of the books up until like 2012 or so. So like that kind of like 10-year period, like I would like read them like religiously, like multiple times. Like Fall of Reach, I've like basically like imprinted on my brain. And like I haven't owned like a Xbox, like Microsoft's console in like quite a while, but like seeing like the videos and stuff like that and like how it's like this updated like throwback to like the original game, like Combat Evolved, was just like unreal to see. I definitely sat through the YouTube recording of all the cutscenes. That was like 4 hours long, so I watched all of that.
I've done that. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm a psychopath. Yeah, no, loved it. And yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite series of all time as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And number 1, another teaser / trailer.
Dude, what?
Yeah, Elden Ring. Comes out like next month.
Oh, so the Elden Ring trailer
Well, they
was
like
better than
like
Dune.
Yeah.
Shame on you, man.
What are you talking about?
You're a monster. How
you
dare
are.
You're a monster.
I told you there would be repercussions for having Timothy play our boy Paul.
But it's worse than the trailer for the Elden Ring, which
how
was
can a trailer for a game be the best?
But it wasn't even rendered properly.
2021.
It was hella fucking blurry.
Well, they From Software like released like a beta for it and stuff, and like, yeah, no, okay, yeah, we'll just move on.
Boo this man.
Shame me.
Oh my god. What? Okay. Luka, please.
I'm not a big Timothy guy.
You don't have to be. But
You have to be.
the trailer for Elden Ring is better than all of Breath of the Wild and Halo Infinite.
Well, like it's just like what I'm looking forward to the most. Honestly.
Well, this is not the
My
most
entire
anticipated list. This is the best of 2021.
Yeah.
So when you think about all the things you enjoyed in 2021, the Elden Ring trailer is at the height of that list.
Well, yeah, because I never look forward to anything. So
okay, but
Elden Ring is the thing I'm looking forward to.
so if you could only choose one of the things on your list to have for the rest of your life, everything else had to get jettisoned into the sun, you would choose the Elden Ring trailer.
Well, not like the trailer, I guess, like more like the beta that was released.
Okay.
Yeah, which is like kind of like a trailer, playable trailer.
It is.
Yeah.
Man, you are something else. But hey, your list is your list.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I told you, man. I'm not a big Timothy guy.
I guess that's a feeling. Go ahead, Luka.
Okay, so my number 3 is The Fires of Vengeance.
That's my number 2.
Nice.
Fires of Vengeance, Evan Winter, the sequel to Rage of Dragons.
Phenomenal book. Yeah, like one of the best releases of 2021 because it did come out in 2021.
It actually didn't. It came out in December of 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. I thought I had one.
But we read it both in it came out like late December, I think, or maybe December 12th, I think.
I thought it came out just after 2021 started. Okay, so
but the audiobook, I believe, came out in the new year.
Okay, well, I bought the physical book, so
yeah,
I bought the one that came out in 2020, I guess. But it was fantastic. I loved it. Like I had no criticisms for it. I literally cannot wait to get book 3. Yeah, just like when I recommend somebody a fantasy book who doesn't read fantasy, this is what I recommend them.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just the most like just dense, but like easy to read book. There's like so much happens, but like the writing is just so quick.
Yeah,
it's
very
almost like
concise.
Yeah, it's like watching a movie almost. Like it just goes by so like the scenes go by so quickly as you're reading. Like there's just no extra nonsense. You just get what you need to get, and it's just so good. So
yeah,
loved it.
And you know, in a funny way, Rage of Dragons is almost responsible for the existence of this podcast because refueled both of you and I's love for reading fantasy. And then we said, we should review books on, podcasts. And then out of that bred this show. So that's, I think, vouching for it as much as we could. Like, we wouldn't
Rage
do
of
this.
Dragons was the first book I'd read in a long time. And it like got me back into reading completely. So
yeah. And the sequel, and obviously people can check out, we did I think we talked for like an hour and a half just about how much we loved Fires of Vengeance, and then really tore it apart and broke down everything. So check that out as well. But yeah, love Fires of Vengeance. Made it to my number 2 spot. So okay, so what is your number 2 then?
So my number 2 is actually something that surprised me, something you recommended, Matt. And I don't know if you started it, but it is The Pariah.
Oh, so you finished it?
Yes, I have.
Oh my gosh.
I finished it in like a couple days. Like I've never listened to a book that quick. Like I literally like I think it was like a week and a half that I
How good is Stephen Brandt as a narrator?
Amazing. I loved him.
I'm telling you, like there's literally been series I've found just because I'm like, what else does this guy do? Another fantasy series?
Maybe the best audiobook I've listened to.
Oh man, you have to read like The Raven Shadow then.
As soon as I finished this, I was like, what else has this man written? And, like I saw the sequel for this is coming out in I think June 2022.
Yeah, I think The Martyr it's called, right?
Yeah, Martyr. Like the cover's been released. Like
super sick cover.
I love this. I've read this is the fastest read of the year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I actually haven't started it because we were going to review it and then things came up, so we had to reschedule that. Yeah. So I'm excited. Like I have it purchased. It's in my Audible library.
Same. It was in since like November.
Oh no way. Yeah. That's right. I can't speak highly enough about Anthony Ryan. I bring it up often on this podcast about the Raven Shadow trilogy, which was right after. The reason why is because on the cover of Rage of Dragons, the quote was from Anthony Ryan, and I was like, well, who is this guy who, had the scoop on this before everyone else did? Or I didn't know how book quotes worked at first, so I was like, who's this guy? And searched him up and was like, okay, I'll try this Blood Song or whatever. I absolutely love that series. Blood Song's on my bookshelf just off camera here. But yeah, Anthony Ryan times Stephen Brandt, a combination that to me is just like fantasy.
And on the cover of The Pariah, the quote is from Mark Lawrence.
Yes, yeah.
The quote is like a master storyteller.
Yeah.
Which is what Mark Lawrence said, which is interesting because The Pariah reminded me a lot of the Red Queen's War trilogy. They're not like exactly the same, but like the main characters are similar in their sort of subversion of the normal like hero archetype, where they're like not really the classic fighter like warrior, they're like more intelligent. I love this book. I cannot recommend it enough. I will be reading anything else I can find by Anthony Ryan.
Man, read Blood Song.
Is that the trilogy?
Yeah, it's the first book in the trilogy, and this is about the Pariah, but Blood Song rocks. I can't wait to get my hands on the Pariah.
Yeah, fantastic. And my number one is Dune.
It figures,
Dune
which is also
movie.
My number one.
Nice.
My number 4.
you don't even.
So obviously we did a full review of Dune, spoiler free and spoiler heavy, so you can check those out. We love Dune. We've talked about Dune every episode of this podcast since it came out. So yeah, I guess just to sum up my feelings, like I thought Dune was probably one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made. Obviously Denny Villeneuve is now in that conversation of the best sci-fi director of all time. And I don't think there's any argument to that conversation of him being at least within that conversation. I would accept no objection to that. Things like Arrival, 2049, and now Dune. But also just the world of Dune is just so fascinating. And I feel like now reading the book, they captured a lot of the important stuff in the film. And yeah, I love Dune. Everything about it just made me excited to consume everything Dune. What do you guys just short thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I just started the book. I got it a couple days ago. I'm loving it so far. This was the best movie I've seen. I don't even probably since Blade Runner 2049. I can't think of issues with it. It's the best adaptation I've ever seen of anything. Like it's up there, like Lord of the Rings and Dune. Like I can't think of better adaptations of anything.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was beautiful. It was just beautiful. It was high art. It was high art in a sci-fi world. It was amazing to see.
Will?
That was okay.
Fucking God.
No, I'm kidding. No, I do like it. I like how influential it's been, and just like how it's able, like it was written, like what I guess pushing X amount of decades ago,
like 40, pushing 50 years now.
Yeah,
we can't math. But it's still like has such an effect. Like the other night, actually, like in our group chat, because I was playing The Witcher 3 and I found like an Easter egg to like Dune, and I thought that was like pretty cool, and like that they would even just like do that, and like keep in mind that like CD Projekt Red is like a Polish company, so it's like kind of cool to see how like Dune has just been like all over the place and influencing everything, kind of, not like everything, but like a lot of things. So I thought that was like kind of cool, and like that's what I kind of like about it. And also that's I guess like and we've talked a little bit about this effect sort of on the podcast of these very iconic things that things since their release have borrowed from or been inspired by. And so like going back to them, it's very rare for me where they hold up to the things that are subsequent. And Dune is one of those exceptions where it's like everything that I love about things that were inspired by Dune, I love those same things about Dune. I don't think it's like an inferior or less
expanded version of them. Like the things I love about Dune that Star Wars borrows from, I still love about Star Wars. At first, I was a little bit like, oh, it's kind of cheap that he just ripped off Dune. But, there's things I love about Star Wars, like the Sand People on Tatooine that are, things that were borrowed from Dune or inspired by Dune. And I think work both ways and are just so interesting to see like how iconic Dune was and how inspirational it was. It's really cool.
And honestly, it feels like so almost ahead of its time. I mean, maybe that's not true because Lord of the Rings was written around the same time, but like I can't think of like another sci-fi series that's been like that strong that long other than Star Wars, which is like a direct influence of Dune. So like reading it now is just like so interesting to see like something that's held up that long, and I can see
probably
why.
Like Star Trek is probably
I guess
other one.
I'd never seen Star Trek, so that's my bad, Star Trek fans.
But there are like these very like iconic ones, and I think Dune is in that conversation. Like Dune, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, Star Trek. Those ones that sort of started 50s, 60s, and are still have the fan base and growing fan base, and like are still being expanded upon.
Because like it does seem like prior to, I guess, like this movie, not a lot of people, at least like that I know, weren't really into it.
It was it still had like cult status because it was a super successful novel, but that doesn't always translate to universal appeal. And the previous film was definitely a cult classic.
You almost need a movie to have that mainstream success, especially now. Like a book rarely can like go from just being published to having mainstream popularity.
Right. Yeah, you almost need the adaptation now for it to come into that.
Even Game of Thrones, like A Song of Ice and Fire, was not like a mainstream popular thing until the show came out.
Yeah, even Wheel of Time, even Marvel Comics, like
even The Lord of the Rings. I was going as far to say. So like I'm definitely excited to see the second. I think that's just like amazing how he just like pumped that out with not really being 100% certain on whether or not there'd be a part 2.
He knew.
I think going into it, you gotta believe, and you can tell just by what was put into this movie, there was no cut corners. You know what I mean? And it's like Denny Villeneuve, to his credit, doesn't cut corners. All like his big sci-fi films have all been very like high concept and take a lot of buy-in, and for that reason haven't got the same financial success as things that are sort of more digestible for a wider audience. But to his credit, they stand as pieces of art on their own. I guess all that's left, because my number 2 was Fires of Vengeance and my number 1 was Dune. My number 3 is The Sword of Kagan. December 2020. So also came out before 2021, but close enough August 22nd, 2020. Obviously, Luka, this is something you recommended. Fucking fantastic. In a now discontinued series, this is a standalone that you can read without being invested in that series at all. Sort of serves as like a prequel to that series, but very much a standalone story. Has the POV of a woman and her son, a split POV, and is just one of the, without spoiling it, one of the most devastatingly beautiful stories, fantasy stories I've ever read, and just stories in general. This book will do things to you that are, I don't know, just insane.
Go on.
Jesus Christ. Nothing like that, but just a very powerful story, and one I think any fan of fantasy will enjoy and appreciate. So that'll do it for our 3 top 10 lists, and now comes the chaos. We need to, so what way would you guys, we need to make the shows definitive, the Lords of Lore combined top 10 list of 2021. Oh my God, you look like that guy who does the running thing on Instagram. Nice. So should we go from top to bottom or bottom to top? What do you guys think?
I guess bottom up.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Bottom up.
Hell yeah.
Number 10. But we all, okay, so what are the things that are on all of our lists? Dune,
Well, it sounds like Dune's going to be number one.
Let's go from top down.
Okay,
I think probably makes more sense. So our number one is Dune.
Yes.
Right, let's say that.
I feel like that's fair. So in the second slot, I had Fires of Vengeance. Will, you had Ghost of Tsushima, or you had Halo. And Luka, you had...
I had The Pariah.
The Pariah. Okay, so we all have three different things. What is our next highest shared one? I think probably Fires of Vengeance, right?
For me and you, Matt, Fires of Vengeance.
Green Knight.
The Green Knight would be our next highest as a group, but I feel like I didn't have it any higher than 5, and you guys had it lower.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it higher than 4.
Okay. So let's put Fires of Vengeance next, because that was one that we at least both had in our top 3.
Hell yeah.
And Will, what else rounded out your top 3?
Trailer.
Elden Ring trailer, Halo, and Ghost of Tsushima.
I would probably say Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay. And Luka, you had that in your honorable mentions, not even on your list. So I would be okay with putting Ghost of Tsushima in like the 5th spot.
Okay. That would be okay with me as well.
Okay. So number 5, Ghost of Tsushima. Okay. So our 3rd spot, what then is our next highest combined? I had Sword of Kaigen. That was on neither of your lists. Ghost of Tsushima was on. So
Wheel of Time.
That wasn't on my list.
Oh yeah, no, there was
on mine. It was
it was only on my list.
Did we all have? Where was Bone Shard Daughter for you, Luka?
For me, it was number 5.
Number 5. Man, it was my number 6.
So yeah, my number 4 was Malazan. I had Star Wars Visions in 6. You guys didn't have that one, but
this is tough.
I think we have to cop out and put Green Knight up there.
I think that's fair.
And we might need to cop out and do a top 5 instead of a top
10. Green Knight. And then I think maybe Bone Shard Daughter would come after that.
I would be okay with that.
Okay. So we have a top 5 right now.
Cool.
And that top 5 is Dune, Fires of Vengeance, Green Knight, Bone Shard Daughter, and Ghost of Tsushima. Just for shits and gigs, let's try to argue our way into what our bottom 5 should be.
Cool.
I will die on the hill of Black Sun should be somewhere on the list. I will die on the hill of Sword of Kaigen should be somewhere on the list. So I am making my request that we put it in the 6th spot. Does anybody have any objections or something you feel is more deserving?
I don't have objections. I just didn't read that in 2021. I read it. I know that I read that a year before, so that's why it's not on my list. It would have been though.
I can make a pretty good case for the Skyrim 10 years.
Stop,
Get out of here.
No, I will not abide. That came out 11 years ago.
I object. This guy wants a mod for Skyrim to be better than Dune. I know it.
No, I mean, like, I haven't read Sword of Kaigen, but I'm fairly certain it's been brought up every second week at least. Because I've seen like the book cover about like at least like 8 times this year. So.
Yeah, sorry.
You'd be like, oh yeah, check it out, and they just like pull it off.
Oh man, so, nothing if not predictable.
I definitely would consent to it being number 6.
Okay. Does anybody have a case you would like to make for the number 7 spot?
Number 7 actually was the Wheel of Time for me. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I think that's fair.
I will not die on this hill. So
okay.
We did the entire show on it, so
yeah,
it should probably
we should probably put it on it. I feel like it was a bit of an oversight for me not to include it. So with that said, it should have been on my list. So I have.
But would you say that you enjoyed the Wheel of Time or Star Wars Visions more? Because I personally had Visions 1 above the Wheel of Time.
Oh man. We also did a show on that too. So it's
longevity.
Okay. I think, well, that's true too.
I've also
Yeah.
rewatched Visions multiple times. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys have rewatched either.
But if the conversation is what when we
His
look
favorite
back,
stories.
yeah, when we
right?
look back on the year that was and the things we consumed, would I tell someone they should watch Wheel of Time or should they watch Star Wars Visions? I have a tough time putting Visions over again because my conflict with canon. Like if I tell someone to watch Wheel of Time, this is something they can take with them. They could read 14 books or they can keep watching the show for however many years the show goes on. Whereas Star Wars Visions is a flash in a pan, something that's super enjoyable, but will never be important again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how do you feel about it, Will? You watch both of these things too.
I would probably say Wheel of Time.
Okay. So
then we could do Visions after, because like Visions only like I'll be honest, I was only really a fan of like the Jedi Ronan episode.
Okay.
So whereas like Wheel of Time, I did become invested. I gradually after the third episode at least.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, so I guess one more for argument's sake.
Despite that 25-minute video of Luka and I just like
tore it apart. God damn, the most successful one we did, you mean? I would say if Star Wars Visions had a weekly show where we did an episode per show, do you think you would have enjoyed it more that way? Because the thing, if Wheel of Time came out all at once, which one would you have enjoyed more? Wheel of Time or Star Wars Visions?
I don't know. So it's a interesting question. I don't know that like changes it so much for me.
Okay, fair enough.
I would probably still say Wheel of Time, but I also don't believe in magic. So,
or the Force. Okay, so it sounds like we're gonna go Wheel of Time in the 7th spot, and for the 8th spot, Star Wars Visions.
Actually, I do have an honorable mention I'd like to leave. Maybe.
Okay, so we still have the 9 and 10.
Okay,
is this
maybe
something
10.
you okay? Go ahead.
Okay, I would say our series on different classes. I thought that was pretty good.
As one of the best stories for 2000.
Yeah.
No. Even our D&D game, I think, was probably one of the best. One of the stories I enjoyed the most. Definitely an honorable mention. But things that are on your list that does anybody have a case they'd like to make for the 9th and 10th spot?
I would say either The Witcher or Breath of the Wild.
And Luka?
Yeah, I haven't played Breath of the Wild. I'd be okay with The Witcher, like 9 or 10. I mean, I have Dark, which you guys haven't seen.
And that was in your 9th spot, right?
That was my 9th, yeah.
Do any of you guys have something in your top 4? I think, Will, you have a couple in your top 4 that haven't made the list yet.
Malazan.
Okay. I mean, I have Black Sun.
And the Pariah. That's what I got.
I mean, Malazan was brought up quite a bit as well.
It's true. Oh man, this is tough. Because I feel like all the things that are left off the list that are in our top 4, all things only one of us has consumed.
Yeah,
this is true.
But because Malazan was such an important part of this podcast,
it was a part of the foundation.
Yeah, I would say I'm okay with that either falling into the 9th or 10th slot. I have no problems, but where it should go, I'm not sure. Will, you have Halo, and
I would say Malazan just because of that like 25-minute horrifying description that Luka gave about people turning into zombies. So yeah.
Okay. So in the number 9 spot, we're putting just Malazan. Yeah. Okay. And the number 10 spot, I would like to make a case for Black Sun. Does anybody have a case for something else? Luka, what was your other thing you said?
My other one was the Pariah, but I will not fight you for number 10.
But you can. It's fine if you do. But I guess it's tough because neither of us have read the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I have no like arguments to put against the Black Sun.
And
So-
Will, we're missing your 1 and 2 off the list. Would you like to make an argument for them?
Skyrim.
I would not buy the trailer on this list.
And my second one would have to be Skyrim as well.
No, shut up.
The most controversial piece. You guys haven't played Halo, have you?
No.
Not
Yeah.
Infinite.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
Is that your argument?
Damn. I knew there was something off about you too.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we could save all the Halo references, or I could get weird about it at a later time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I can do my Sangheli impression.
But when people see our definitive list for the Lords of Lore best stories of 2021, do you think Halo needs to be on that list?
I don't know. Yes and no.
Okay, but do you think the Elden Ring trailer needs to be on that list?
Not trailer, beta, but also
Beta.
trailer included. No, because I think we could do an entire episode later on.
Okay.
about it.
Okay,
Because,
and that's
as a side note, because there's George R.R. Martin, instead of dropping his Winds of Winters, he did some content for Elden Ring. So I watched an interview with him. It's pretty funny because he's like, yeah, they just asked me to like give them some weird fantasy ideas, so I just came up with stuff. So he just like fired it off to them, and they apparently loved it. And I haven't talked to him since. So.
did they pay him?
Oh yeah. They were just like, here, thanks. Here's 100 G's.
Wow, I
Yeah.
could do that.
Yeah.
I got weird fantasy ideas.
Yeah. So yeah. Dark Sun. I think you've mentioned it before as well, though, like a few times.
I have.
That's the Jaguar one, right?
There's Jaguars in there. Yeah,
I remember you talking about Jaguars.
I don't remember that, but
Okay. Well, Jaguars are pretty sweet. So I'd say that would be a good spot for number 10.
okay.
Or is that number 10?
I mean, we could also include some honorable mentions for sure. I'm just wondering if when you guys look back on this list in the years to come, you feel like there's something that was slighted.
The
I would want
barbarian,
that.
the barbarian episode that we did.
Yeah, your presentation of barbarians.
So as we could see the thatched roof.
Like, I would even argue that Will going to the movies could be in the 10th spot. Best stories in 2021. But if no one has an argument, then I will put Black Sun in this spot.
Yeah,
That is fine with me.
Okay.
that's fair. I am kind of. I think I looked for it before, so I have like a
Very
list
good.
of stuff that you guys have written down.
Nice.
So
Okay, so without any further ado, the definitive list, going from 10 to 1. In our number 10, can I get a little drum roll?
If you can hear that.
Inaudible. Number 10 spot, we have Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. In the number 9 spot, a combination of Steven Erikson and
Oh, it's just Steven Erikson for the
Steven
Malazan.
Erikson.
Yeah, for the one that I read. Yeah.
The whole Malazan series. You should check out. In our number 8 spot, we have Star Wars Visions, followed in the number 7 spot by the Wheel of Time series on Amazon Prime. In the number 6 spot, we have The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang. In the number 5 spot, we have Ghosts of Tsushima, the video game. In the director's cut. Bone Shard Daughter in our number 4 spot. Then the next is the film by A24 Studios, Green Knight, in our number 3 spot. Our number 2 is Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter. And finally, our number 1 story of 2021 is Dune by Denny Villeneuve and Frank Herbert and such. So that is our definitive Lords of Lore guide to things that we liked in 2021 that didn't necessarily come out then. So yeah, that was fun and chaotic as I thought it would be.
Mhm.
We will have a similar list at the end of 2022.
Hell yeah.
Of all the things we loved. And obviously our programming, we took a little hiatus, but we'll be back to some of the things you're more familiar with seeing shortly coming in the new year, as well as the Boba Fett reviews that are coming out every Wednesday with me and Taleb. Obviously, you can catch this show every Tuesday. Make sure you're liking this video, subscribe to the channel, and leaving reviews if you can. And let us know what your favorite stories of 2021 were, things that you feel like we missed from our list, because apparently there were some. So yeah, hoping everybody's having a happy new year. As always, I'm Matt.
I'm Luka.
I'm Will.
And we are the Lords of Lore.